Hello friends, welcome to Programming Concepts. My name is Amit and this is part 74 of the ASP.NET Core MVC tutorial. In this video, we will learn how to log exceptions and messages via ASP.NET Core inbuilt logging providers in our project. This is a continuation of part 73, Logging in ASP.NET Core, where we discussed what logging providers are, default logging providers, how to disable and enable logging providers, etc. So please watch it before proceeding to this one. I shared the link in the description. Let's go to the Visual Studio. And this is the project which we are working with. Till now, whatever logs messages we are receiving, we received either from Microsoft code or some other DLL. But we didn't write our own logs, correct? Let's see how we can write logs in our project. Let's visit Employee Controller. Now we need to inject logger dependency in this controller. And we know injecting dependency in ASP.NET Core is extremely simple. Just pass the parameter within the constructor. Let's do that. Let's add the ILogger parameter and it is present under Microsoft.Extensions.Logging. Add this namespace if not already added. Let's say the variable name is logger. Press Control plus dot. Select Create and Assign field logger. And our logger object is ready. In our last video, we already discussed web application.createBuilder registered dependency for default logging providers. So within the program.cs class, we don't have to do anything extra. All right. Next, let's say we want to send information that request received from index method. So let's type logger.loginformation. Request received for index method. Let's see if that work or not. One more thing, in our last video, we clear our default provider and only enable the console provider. So you can delete this line if you want to see logs in output window as well. All right, let's run our application. And we have an error. Unable to resolve service for type Microsoft.Extensions.Logging.ILogger while attempting to activate proconcepts.controllers.employee-controller. So our ILogger service not able to activate this ILogger instance. It is because we didn't provide the type of ILogger. Let's quickly pass it. So ILogger, then employee controller. Change the variable type as well. Here we are telling ASP.NET Core ILogger that this is the type or source for logs. Let me run the program, then it will be much clearer to you. So if you see in our console, we get the required message, request received for index method. Also, if you look at its category or event name, it is saying its category or event name is proconcepts.controller.employee-controller. Then we have 0 in square brackets, just like we are getting categories for Microsoft logs. So how does ILogger identify the error category? It is because of the type we provided to ILogger. And as you can see, its fully qualified name is proconcepts.controller.employee-controller. All right. Next, as of now, we are getting category ID as 0. So we can also optionally pass category ID. Let's implement that as well. Stop the application. The ILogger has many overloaded methods and the one of the methods accepts event ID as a parameter. Let's say its event ID is 101. Here I am giving a random ID and this ID is very helpful in live applications as you can categorize your logs on the basis of event IDs. You can use log reader tools like Splunk, Event Viewer, etc. where you can get logs in a very organized way. All right, let's run our application once again. This time you can see category ID or event ID is 101, which is provided as a parameter. Another very important part is, what if for any reason we don't want to log the actual class name? Let's say for security reason, what if I don't want to display proconcepts.controller.employee-controller? which is the fully qualified name of my class. Can we give any custom message or custom names? And the answer is absolutely. Let's implement that. So while declaring the logger variable locally, we specify its type here. So ILogger employee controller. So this is not necessary. If you don't provide type, it will work the same way. See, no compilation error. I'm not going to run. Try it by yourself. Let's comment this constructor and recreate the same to display the different approach. All right, just copy and paste. Next, instead of ILogger, let's use ILoggerFactory. Then instead of simply assigning logger object, use factory.createLogger. Then let's say custom category. And that's it. It will work the same way it was when we inject ILogger. Let's run our application. See, we get the required message along with the updated category name. Simple, extremely simple. So till now we inject the dependency of logger via the constructor, but in program.cs class we don't have a constructor. Then the question is, how can we use logger in program class? Let's see how to implement it. Let's go to the program class and stop the application. Once we build our app, then let's use our build app. So app.logger.log information. And let's say calling from program class. And that's it. Because we are using .NET 6 minimal model, it will work. Let's see that. Let's run our application. Here you can see we get the required message calling from program class. Everything is extremely simple. Just inject dependency and use the required functionality. The next thing we can cover is if there is any way we can set the category name within program.cs class and use the same across application. So is it possible within the default ASP.NET Core logger? The answer is yes, but I didn't find the best possible way how to do it with the default logger. I don't find anything specific on the Microsoft site. So let me cover what I found on the internet. If anyone knows the better solution except the third-party logger, do let me know in the comments. All right, let's implement that. Stop the application. First, we need to get the service for ILogger class. Let's see how we can do that. Within program.cs class type, where underscore logger is equal to builder.services.build service provider method bracket dot get service, and then provide ILogger of type program. And you can see we have green squigglies. Let's see what they are complaining about. Calling build service provider from the application code results in additional copy of singleton services. I didn't find any solution in Microsoft documentation on how to overcome this when we want to use a common logger across application. Okay, then please ignore this warning for now. Then we need to register this service. So builder.services.add singleton, then type of ILogger, comma underscore logger. So our logger within the category program is ready to use across application. Let's go to employee controller. Comment this constructor, copy and paste the first constructor. Now here let's get rid of the class name which we provided. Initially we see it doesn't work, but this time we registered the service in the program class. Let's see if it works or not. Let's run our application. See, we get the required message, request received for index method. But this time the category is program. So in case you want to hide the actual category and want to save some manual effort of providing class to logger every time, you can use this approach. All right. Next, to log information, there is no right or wrong place. You can place information logs as per your need, but to log errors, you have to be specific. You should log errors only when there is some exception occur, right? So there are different levels of logging. We will discuss them in our upcoming video. For now, information and error are self-explanatory. Here we specify information. Next, let's see how and where to place error logs. If you have try and catch blocks in a project, use them in all your catch blocks. But in our project, we have already centralized logging, right? If you go to the program.cs class, you can see we have use exception handler middleware, which is responsible to handle exceptions. And we also have use status code pages with re-execute, which is responsible to handle situations like 404 page not found exception. So let's quickly use logging here. First, let's comment our build service provider code in the program.cs class. That was only for demo purposes. And implement logging with a generic category in employee controller. Let's go to home controller. Create constructor CTOR tab, inject logger dependency. So ILogger, and this is present under Microsoft.Extensions.Logging. Add this namespace if already not been added. So ILogger of home controller. Let's name it logger. Next, press Ctrl plus dot, create and assign field logger. Now this logger is ready to use within this controller. First, let's implement logging within error route. The request will reach this action method when there is any unhandled exception in our project, right? Because we used this within our use exception handler middleware. So when you type logger, and you can see we have many methods available for logging like log information, which we just used, and many more. We'll discuss them in our upcoming video. For now, let's use log error. And you can see it has multiple overloaded methods. Let's use the one responsible to log messages only. And let's type exceptions, exception occur. Stop the sequel to get actual exception, and once it is done, run your application. Press F5, and you can see in the console we have the required message, exception occur, along with error generated by Microsoft. And if you look at the debug window, search for our log. And you can see here also we have the required log. All right. The next problem statement is this generic message is not sufficient. We need to capture the actual log and also stack trace if possible. Let's see how to implement that. And that is also extremely simple to implement. So where exception is equal to http context dot features dot get, then I exception handler feature, just like we did with status code errors in our previous videos. Next, instead of generic message, just use dollar for string interpolation and then endpoint colon within curly braces exception dot endpoint /n error colon within curly braces exception dot error. And that's it. You will get your route as well as complete stack trace. You can modify this line as per your need. All right, let's run our application. As you can see, we get the endpoints as well as complete stack trace. Next, let's quickly use a similar approach for exceptions like page not found. Stop the application. So instead of passing values as a viewback and exposing our errors to end user, Let's just log them and display generic message to the end user. We have already written code on how to get these details. So just delete these viewbacks and type logger dot. Now, this is not technically an exception, right? If someone enters the wrong URL, we don't want to categorize them as an error. We can categorize them as a warning, right? Or you can also include them in the information category if you want. So logger dot log warning, string interpolation, original path, colon, then within curly braces, status code re-execute feature dot original path. Then /n, original query string, colon. Then within curly braces, status code re-execute feature dot original query string. Let's delete these viewbacks from our view as well. So we are returning the index view. Go to index view and delete these viewbacks. And let's start our SQL service and then run our application. Navigate to any random page. Let's say /Amit. And you can see we get the required message in our console in light yellowish color with all the required details. Simple, extremely simple. So that's it from this video. Hope you like our content. If you have any queries related to the content of this video, do ask me in the comments. Till then, thanks for watching.